Welcome to the Busy Signal. My name is Jim, and this is my retrostalgic 80s, 90s, and early 2000s podcast. This show aims to salute all the stuff from back in the day that is now extinct or quickly going that way. The Busy Signal, episode 40, the big 4-0. Thanks for listening. No, but seriously, I can't believe it's been 40 episodes already, so anybody who's been listening with any kind of regularity, thank you. And if you're just joining us, like this is your first episode, welcome. We like to have fun. We're going to talk about some old school stuff. We're going to unlock some memories. Thanks for checking out the show. Real quick, I just want to say that I am getting over a cold, so if my voice isn't 100% or it goes in and out a little bit, I apologize now, but I really was excited about doing this episode and I wasn't going to let anything stop me. So let's get on with it. It's been several months since we've done anything video game related, and that's mainly because this is not solely a gaming show. There's plenty of new and retro gaming podcasts out there to listen to, some pretty good ones, but that being said, this is a nostalgia show, so we are definitely going to cover video games from time to time. Last year, we did a 2-part NES show with my buddy Corey, so naturally, the Super Nintendo, the SNES, or also as it's known, the Super Famicom, would have to be next. As a kid, I grew up with the original Nintendo, but the Nintendo and video games were still kind of pretty new to everyone. So because I grew up with the NES, I just thought that's what it was for video games, like the NES if you were home and arcade games if you were out. So when the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo released, and were 16-bit, video games became like all new again. And admittedly, I'll just be upfront, I owned an NES, an SNES, a Game Boy Color, N64, and the Wii. So yes, I am a Nintendo fanboy. I did, however, own a Sega Game Gear back in the mid-90s. I mean, it was color, so duh. And it had a super rad TV tuner attachment, although I never found that attachment for sale anywhere. Oh, and I briefly had a PS2, but like way after it came out. So that's my personal gaming history in a nutshell. For this episode, I'm choosing 10 games that I had or played the most when I was a kid. I'm not ranking them. This is not a ranking episode. There's plenty of other podcasts that do that. This is a handful of games that I had or rented so many times I might as well have owned them. Because just like I say in the board games episodes, everyone owned and rented different games. So there's going to be some in common, but some will definitely be different. So like I said, I'm choosing 10 of the Super Nintendo games that I had or played the most when I was a kid. I will have to split this episode probably in two. It'll probably be a 2-parter. We'll see how it goes. First, let's take a quick look at the SNES itself before we dig into the games. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System released August 23rd, 1991 in North America.
Decide to step up to this kind of power, this kind of challenge, this kind of flying, crashing feeling. When you decide to get serious, there's only one place to come, the games of Super Nintendo. No one else creates this kind of experience, because no one else creates these kinds of games. Now you're playing with power, superpower.
The introductory price was $199. And at launch, Super Mario World was included in the SNES bundle, and I can't remember when I got my SNES. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't in 1991. I'm thinking more like 93. I do remember F-Zero being one of the first games that I owned, and I'm not sure if it came bundled or not. The Super Nintendo was discontinued in 1999, and I want to put it out there. The catalog of not just games for the Super Nintendo, but the catalog of great games for the Super Nintendo is mind-blowing. The original Nintendo had an intimidating catalog of games just by sheer volume alone, but only a handful of classics. Maybe a couple handfuls, we'll give it some credit. And even though I had all these other consoles back in the day, the SNES might be my absolute favorite console of all time. So let's get to talking about the games that I had back in the day. Maybe you had some of them as well. Since I've already mentioned F-Zero as being one of the first games that I owned for the SNES, let's start with F-Zero. I actually think it was one of the first games that I owned. I want to say it came with my Super Nintendo, but I'm not 100% sure. What I do know is that my console didn't come bundled with Super Mario World. So it either came a standalone SNES or my mom bought me a game straight away with the console.
Nothing prepares you for F-Zero, created for the new Super Nintendo Entertainment System. You won't believe the power. You won't believe the control. You won't believe the jumps, the curves, or the feeling you get until you experience it for yourself.
Wow, that's fast.
F-Zero for the ultimate G-Force, only on the next generation from Nintendo. Now you're racing with power, superpower.
F-Zero is a racing game. It was set in the future, 2560. There was an actual comic book included with the game to give you all the backstory that you needed and introduced us to the 4 main characters, or racers. Honestly, I'm not a comic book person, so while I did read the comic, I honestly didn't care about the story. It added no value to the gameplay for me. None whatsoever. So, 4 racers, each with their own hover car. Each car has its own unique abilities. The main character being Captain Falcon, who later shows up, in Super Smash Bros.? Yeah. It's a racing game, so obviously the goal is to finish first. Here, what was important was the graphics. The graphics were awesome for 1991, and the race seemed just so fast, super fast. I mean, you're in a hover car, it better look fast, right? Well, it did. Other cars could hit you and damage you. The edges of the tracks were electrified, so you'd take damage from not staying on the course. There were slip zones that had magnetic pull to pull you off the track into the edges. There were energy pits where you could drive through and replace your energy. If your energy gets exhausted, boom, you blow up and you're disqualified. Complete a lap and you get an energy boost. 5 laps to a race. There's 4 different difficulty levels, 3 leagues, and these are divided into 15 tracks. The courses have names like Mute City, Deathwind, Red Canyon, and Port Town. All of them have different iterations of the courses depending on the difficulty level. The courses have their own original music, too. To say the least, F-Zero has a killer soundtrack. I mean, it's really fast and fun. This is one of the definitions of a get good through reps game. You gotta get good through doing it over and over and over again. The timing, the speed, you'll learn it all, and you're still not gonna be good enough. There were more F-Zero games after this one for the N64, Game Boy Advance, and the Switch, and all of them pretty much had that future storyline there, and I went online and I really tried to follow the storyline, but 1, I just got bored, and 2, it's actually kind of convoluted. If I was going to dock this game for anything, it's really the fact that it's not a 2-player game. Who makes a racing game and it's not a 2-player game? You've got a new console, wicked sick graphics, and you're not going to have one of your flagship racing games be a 2-player? Are you kidding me? That is the thing that frustrates me the most about this game. Not that it was hard, not that I had to keep playing it forever just to get somewhere in it. The fact that I couldn't play the game with my friends. If I didn't mention it in the NES episodes, my favorite types of video games are platformers. I love Mario for sure, but Ghosts and Goblins. I mean, I feel like it's been around forever. It was an arcade game. It was ported to the NES. It's been ported to every console in one way, shape, or form. But that Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo is my absolute favorite version of this game. The graphics were detailed, the sprites were crisp and big, and the gameplay was, to say the very least, challenging. I mean, this game is hard, not cheap, just crazy hard. Just like in Ghosts and Goblins, Super Ghouls and Ghosts is a side-scrolling platformer with just a bit of run-and-gun mechanic to it. You are Knight Arthur, and the animation in the beginning shows Princess Guinevere being kidnapped by Emperor Sardius, who pretty much is a demon. Sardius takes Guinevere to the Phantom Zone, and now you've got to rescue her. There's 4 difficulties to choose from: easy, normal, difficult, and professional. A player can get up to 9 lives, and there's only 6 continues. And I'm telling you, You're going to need all of them. You start out in a haunted cemetery fighting zombies, ghosts, wolves, and spooky stuff. And then there's a ghost ship, frozen zones. At some point, you're ending up in like a ghoul's stomach, and there's castles to explore. And then a couple times, the screen can kind of rotate, like in Castlevania 4. And I really liked scaling this one castle where you're on the outside of the castle and you're going upstairs in a spiral around the castle, and the castle is moving as you charge forward. That was really cool. You're equipped with armor and a spear at first, and then you can upgrade your armor, and you can also upgrade your weapons. And depending on what suit of armor you have, it depends on what that weapon does. But if you get hit, you lose your armor. Yeah, you're running around in your tighty whities until you pick up another suit of armor. It's seriously one of the hardest platformers I've ever played, and I've never beaten it on my own. Like when I was a kid, I remember being so frustrated because I did the reps, I got good, and I went to the very end and I beat the main boss, and Princess Guinevere shows up in like a vision, and she says, "Oh, Arthur, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you came for me, but you can't rescue me unless you get this special bracelet. You don't have it. You have to go back and find it." And I played that whole game over again, and I didn't find the bracelet. I just assumed that if I played the game, it would show up this time, and it didn't. And I still don't know where it is, and I want it to stay that way because I'm mad at the game. I like it, but I'm mad at it. I don't have time for that. Other than that, it really is a fun, fast-paced side scroller, and it has one of my favorite game mechanics in it, the double jump. And the sooner you master that, the better off you are. And if I didn't say it about this game, just like I said about F-Zero, this game has equally great music. This is a great game. Did you just recognize this theme music? This game had its music composed by a real band, a bona fide 90s one-hit wonder, Green Jelly, known for their 1992 hit, Three Little Pigs. And if you lived under a rock in 1992 and have no idea who Green Jelly are, and have never heard Three Little Pigs, I'm not sure if you missed out on that experience or if you got lucky. Either way, if you're curious and go looking for it, just know that you can't unhear it. You can't unsee the video either. I'll just say that. Anyway, this game is one of my absolute favorite side-scrolling beat-em-ups. And despite what I said in the F-Zero segment, this game is 100% based on a comic book. Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage.
New York City. Panic. Terror. Chaos. And that was before. Maximum Carnage.
This game is awesome for anyone who's a fan of your friendly neighborhood wall crawler, as well as fans of beat-em-ups. Honestly, I don't care for comics, like I said, and despite all the comic book heroes and villains in this game, you don't have to know anything about them. You don't even have to pay attention to the story. It's just really fun and really hard. Like I keep saying, these games are hard. I'm not looking for easy games. I actually want them to be hard. I want them to be a challenge. I don't want to beat a game in an hour. I don't want to beat a game in an afternoon. I don't even want to beat the game in a week. I do want it to be hard. So if I'm saying it's really hard, that's a good thing. And the Super Nintendo has a robust catalog of great beat-em-ups. Maximum Carnage holds its own next to the Final Fights, Super Double Dragon, and yes, even Turtles in Time. What makes this game stand apart is the added game mechanics of Spider-Man, his ability to scale buildings, he can swing from webs, he can kick while he's swinging from those webs, and if there's a bad guy on either side of him, he can throw webs out of both of his hands, grab those bad guys, and pull them together until they knock each other out. It's pretty cool. You also have the ability to play as Venom, and that's really rad. And I haven't even mentioned the actual game cartridge yet. It was red instead of gray, and this game might be the only comic book related thing ever that I've liked. And also the only composition from Green Jelly that I've also liked. That's it. And if I had one complaint, it would be the exact same complaint that I had as F-Zero. It's a one player. Why can't I play as Spider-Man and somebody else play as Venom? Why? This really should have been a two-player game. Once again, that's my only criticism. Otherwise, this was a really fun game, really great music. The graphics were very, very cool. Now, if you'll notice, I haven't mentioned any sports games, and there's tons of sports games on the SNES. I'm not a big sports guy, so this game will fulfill my sports category. Released in October of 1993 by Mindscape, Championship Pool. I didn't even own this game. I rented it a fair few times. Not the most exciting game. This game is pure cheese, kind of, and there isn't really much as far as substance goes. You're playing pool. But I would rent it, and I would play it all weekend. Why would I rent it? I do like pool, but maybe there weren't any other exciting games available at that time at Blockbuster. But I wanted to rent something. I wanted to play something different, and I could play 8-ball, 9-ball, 3-ball. There was a tournament mode, which I never played. There was a multiplayer, so I got to give it that. There was multiplayer. And a freestyle mode, where you get to make your own rules. And honestly, that just sounds like a hassle. Like I said, I would rent this game on the regular, and I didn't mind the music at the time. The fact that its replayability isn't really there as far as a retro game goes. There are tons of other pool games now that you can play on your mobile devices or online that are way better than this. But for the time, the graphics were pretty cool, and the controls were tight. It was really good for a billiards game. It was great. And it wasn't exclusive to SNES. It was ported to other consoles. So if you missed it on the SNES, you could have played it on the NES, the Game Boy, Genesis, or maybe you popped a floppy disk into your A drive and played Championship Pool on MS-DOS. Have you played this game? Do you even know what I'm talking about, or am I the only person who ever played Championship Pool on the SNES? Hit me up at Instagram at BusySignalCast and let me know if you played or owned, well, any of the games that I'm mentioning in this episode. The early 1990s saw a resurgence of Looney Tunes. I mean, they were all the rage. Clothing, new cartoons, old cartoons being played again, Space Jam, and so on. But in 1992, November of 1992, Sunsoft released a brand new game for the SNES. And 11-year-old me lost my mind. I knew it was going to be the best game ever. I had to have it. I was obsessed at that time with Roadrunner and Coyote. I just thought they were the funniest cartoons. I was constantly drawing the Roadrunner. I wanted to be a cartoonist. I didn't like comic books, but I liked drawing Roadrunner and Coyote. I just thought they were hilarious. So when Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally came out, you know that was on my Christmas list, ASAP. I don't remember if I got it for my birthday or if I got it for Christmas, but I needed to have it. At first glance, it is visually stunning. The game literally looks like it came out of the cartoon. Like the settings in the game are completely true to the cartoon. And once again, this is a side-scrolling platformer. So the boss fights are against Wile E. Coyote and some of those wacky Acme weapons. The cut screens between the levels are the Coyote experiencing epic fails with those Acme contraptions. And the animations are gorgeous. They're second to none. You can make the Roadrunner beep and stick his tongue out. It does nothing functionally to help you play the game, but dang, it's cool. So let's recap. Side-scrolling platformer, my favorite type of game, based solely on Roadrunner and Coyote, my favorite cartoon characters at that time. Excellent looking levels that make you feel as if you are in the cartoon. This game sounds amazing. The problem is that it was garbage. It's my least favorite game for SNES because for all the great things that I just pointed out about it, it has one thing that ruins the whole game. The controls are the worst. This game handles terribly. Basically, the Roadrunner has to avoid being eaten by the Coyote, so you have to avoid him during each level. He's running around like a madman. And getting the Roadrunner to run is a chore. It's cumbersome. He's slow. To get him to go is really a pain. And once he gets going so fast that you can't stop him. It's clumsy. And you need to jump between the platforms. And jumping is also equally as clumsy. If you jump and you're trying to land on a platform, it's like dropping a Plinko chip on The Price is Right. You have a spot where you'd like to end up, but despite your best steering, you can end up on the other side of the screen or dead, having fallen off of the screen. Also, there's flags all over the game levels, and because the jumping is weird and the stopping and going are awful, getting those flags, forget the fact that they're hidden all over the level, just getting to them because the controls are so loose is awful. It's not good. Honestly, because of the controls, it becomes tedious, boring, and clumsy, and I'm just getting angry thinking about it. No amount of reps can get you good enough for the kind of punishment that you're going to endure just by playing the game. I feel like it robbed my 11-year-old video game loving Roadrunner enthusiast self of a good time, and it did. And to boot, there was actually supposed to be a sequel to this game. And the concept was you would control the coyote and actually chase after the Roadrunner. It was called Wily's Revenge. However, due to Sunsoft's bankruptcy in 1995, the sequel was thankfully canceled and we were all spared. This is a rage quitter for sure, because the real villain in this game is not the coyote, it's the trash controls. Good graphics and fun animations does not a great game make. So there you have it. At the top of the show, I said I'd be featuring 10 SNES games I had as a kid, and I will. Just not all in one episode. This was the first 5. Unlike Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally, I like to keep the controls tight on this show, so next episode, number 41, will feature the other 5 games. And you won't want to miss that because there's some equally great games on that one, and one that I've never really encountered anywhere else. It might be rare. Maybe. Maybe you had it, maybe you didn't. Maybe you've never heard of it. It's a good game and you should have played it, but you'll have to listen to find out. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, in addition to all the commercials featured in the episodes, each week has a theme. The last couple weeks have been dedicated to MTV contests and old school Nickelodeon commercial bumpers. On Fridays, I feature a classic TGIF ABC ad, and Saturday mornings, you can catch a Toy Story treat, and Saturday night, you'll see an SNL host promo. Sundays, you'll see clips from the wonderful/magical world of Disney. So head over to Instagram and follow the show at BusySignalCast for your daily shot of nostalgia. And if you liked this episode, you can subscribe on Apple and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating or a positive review because that would be super rad. And all positive reviews, Spotify, and Insta comments, I'll read in future episodes, just like I'm about to do right now for Shannon D., who commented on episode 39, Board Games, Part 4. She writes, "We played Boulder Dash at my grandparents'. Also, pretty sure I remember Crossfire." Thanks, Shannon, for writing. That sounds like a really good time at the grandparents with Boulder Dash. I really want to pick up Boulder Dash still. That sounds like an amazing game for me. And Crossfire, well, classic game. Honestly, if you haven't listened to the previous episode, Board Games Part 4, worth it. It was such a fun episode. I was joined by friend of the show, George. Go check that out. Guys, that is all my voice can take for this episode. I am going to go drink more tea, more lemon, more honey, all of it. And thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you later. Once again, I'd like to say thanks for listening. And as always, you can listen to The Busy Signal everywhere quality podcasts are streamed. Hit the subscribe button to have a new episode delivered directly to your favorite device every other Friday. If you really like the show, leave a 5-star rating or a positive review on Apple and Spotify. That lets everybody else know to come check out what you already think is awesome. You can also head over to Instagram and follow the show at BusySignalCast for even more retrostalgic content. I share a good amount of fun stuff that isn't mentioned on the episodes. While you're there, say hi in the comments. Don't be shy. And until next time, remember, reach out and touch the past.
Now you're playing with power, superpower.